When I was in elementary school, I insisted to my family that I was a tomboy, to which I got the response, "You're the girliest girl in the family." But I'll tell you right now, that is completely untrue. I'm the girliest boy in the family. I'm genderqueer. I'm somewhere between two genders and no gender at all, which confuses a lot of people, and I get that. But this confusion removes many of the assumptions people can make about me. You can't label the box if you're not sure which box I go in to begin with. Being genderqueer for me means that I'm transgender. My gender does not align with societal expectations of my sex assigned at birth. One could even say that it transcends it. Unfortunately, it also means that I am up against the widely supported statistics that say that 40% of trans people commit suicide, or attempt suicide. Compare that to the national average of 0.5%. In addition, the likelihood that we'll be murdered increases every year, which rings even more true for women of color. Between these stats, according to NPR, I'm not likely to live past the age of 30. For reference, I'm almost 26, and 4 years is not enough. I refuse to accept that I might only have 4 years left, which is exactly why I'm in the field of education, following alongside my father's footsteps. He is such an inspiration to me as a kind and determined human being. And I would be lucky to end up half the man he is. Of course, being genderqueer, I might literally be half the man he is. This subject can be hard for me to talk about. So 4 more years. I refuse to accept that. And that's not even the fear that media outlets sensationalize. They like to talk about surgery and bathrooms and completely skip over the problems that should actually matter to the general public. Like the stats from UCLA, which tell us that 10% of the population is lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender, commonly referred to as LGBT. And even though only 10% of the population is LGBT, 40% of homeless youth are LGBT. To give you an idea of what that looks like, if this audience was comprised of homeless youth, everyone to my left would be LGBT. That's not okay. The best part of being in education for me is a faith that students have in me. I have students who come in regularly looking for advice, resources, even just someone who's willing to listen without judgment. I have one student who comes in once or twice a week, who came in one day, sat me down, and with a subtle confidence said, "I think I'm a girl." It's not that anything anyone says, that any of my students say, shocks me at this point, but the idea that someone is trusting you with an aspect of their identity, especially a marginalized one, never gets old. And that's why I do what I do. I get to be part of their story. I get to be representation for them where I had none. I still look at my job and my school and my state and see hardly anyone like me. And in some aspects, I see no one like me. So if I'm going to make it past 4 more years, am I going to change myself to fit this world? Or am I going to convince the world to love me exactly as I am? That I'm worthy of that love? That I'm worthy of human rights? Can I be representation for the underrepresented? So what can we do? What would you say if your father, your sister, your child, if one of those people came out to you? If one of those people told you that they are gay, that they are transgender? Would you be shocked? Would you be silent? Would you believe them would you reject them? Or could you take this opportunity to learn more about their identity, to love them, to accept them, to validate them? And take the time to learn more. Much of the confusion, misunderstanding, and rejection of LGBT people comes from a lack of education. So I invite you to educate yourselves. Go to an LGBT sensitivity training. Do online research at websites like the Trevor Project. They're where you can find resources on how to respect a transgender person's pronouns like he, she, or they, what to do when someone comes out to you, how to address a name change, and more. The only thing standing in the way of true equity is education, which is within your grasp. You can stand out and speak out against injustice. You can vote with me in mind. You can even change my life expectancy. Thank you.